Oops, I forgot to add us to the live stream. Hello and welcome to episode 453 of the Stacey West podcast, which has already started by me half sucking a rhubarb and custard, realising I was sucking it, having to take it out, realising my sound was too loud, and then starting the feed without anybody in it. My name's Gary. I will be your host for the 453rd episode of the Stacey West podcast, and I will be joined by our very own Parma Violet, Emily. How are you?
Oh, I am excellent, Gary. I am so good. And I've been looking forward to this all day, or more than all day, since yesterday, sort of mid-afternoon. Can't wait. How are you?
Yeah, any time yesterday in
any
particular?
reason?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
very good.
Nothing springs to mind. Nothing significant anyway.
No, I think we have a slight delay on our feeds, unfortunately. So that might be interesting for everybody watching at home. I think there's a couple of seconds delay. And Emily is a little fuzzy for me. So hopefully that's not the case for everybody else. So before we get on to it, did you have a nice weekend in Cardiff?
Oh, I had a lovely weekend. We only went down there and back in one day. So it was a long day, long journey, but it's so worth waking up at silly o'clock in the morning and getting on the road super early for an away day like that. You just cannot miss those, can you? You cannot miss those moments. But I know you were there a bit longer than me. So did you enjoy the Welsh hospitality while you were down there?
A bit too much at times. It was really odd because we had a really good night out, and I saw loads of people, loads of Lincoln fans from all different kind of corners of the Lincoln fandom, from Mr. Pearson to lad Tuppers, who, if people know, Tuppers is a character and a half, and then there was people coming up kind of saying, "Oh, how are we doing?" It was brilliant, and then we nearly got into 3 fights on the way home, which was it was utterly bizarre. I was with my friend Matthew Waugh, who is a mutual friend of ours, of course.
Yes.
And we just came out of this pub, and this guy just randomly started on another lad that was with us. Was like, "Who are you looking at? Who are you talking to?" The middle of the street, police everywhere. So we got away from that, and then there was this group of these Navy lads who were on leave. They were kids. I didn't realise you could join the Navy at 12, but apparently you can. And they were fine, but their girlfriends started. And then we got nearly back to the hotel, and the group of about 6 young lads, Asians, hoods up, all this sort of thing, they started on us as well. It's like, wow. I mean, only during our teenage years, Matt was a trouble magnet, but that was unbelievable.
Oh, unprovoked, it sounds like, as well, which is, at least you came out of it unscathed.
Always.
You lived to tell
always. Yes, as a rather famous comedian that we know would say, and needless to say, I had the last laugh.
Yes, yeah, very true, very true.
Oh, true.
3,000 of us did, didn't they?
Yes, didn't we just? Right. Just in the comments, I just want to see in the comments if people are having the delay issue or if it is just me, because I don't know if it's a case of one of us dropping out and dropping back in. Are you experiencing any sort of delay, or am I talking over you at all?
It doesn't seem too bad on my end. When you finish talking, I don't know. It depends when you can hear me. Depends when people can hear me.
Yeah, there is a delay issue. It's Emily who's got the delay, apparently.
It's me. It's always me as well. It's always me. Let me I'll drop my resolution down a bit. Look at this live whatever.
Sorry, now there's a big pile on, and I'm just putting. I'll edit this out, by the way, for home. But there's a big pile on. Everybody's like, definitely delay, minor delay. It's definitely Emily, and then Mummy Rook has come in and gone. No, it's okay here. No, nothing to see it. No problem with Emily at all here.
Cheers, Mum.
And there you are. I think you're back now, so I think we're all good.
Yeah, I've dropped my resolution, so I might be even more fuzzy than I was before, but hopefully you can hear me a bit better.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. So now that we've got over all of that, and I better make notes so I can edit it so those listening at home don't see our technical problems, I think we should talk about football. I think we should talk about Lincoln City. And I think we should probably start with the team selection, because on paper it looked like a 3-5-2. There's a very popular Cardiff blog have said that they just couldn't break down our 3-5-2, and I'm not convinced it was.
No, I'm not convinced it was either. I mean, I know you do your starting 11 videos every week, but I didn't predict that was how we were gonna line up yesterday. But it certainly looked to me like a lot more of a 4-4-2 formation, with Tendai Darikwa playing in at right back, and then Adam Reach on the left hand side playing in a more of a left midfield position. Which, you know, look, now we can look back and say it was a tactical masterclass, can't we, from Skubala? But it certainly wasn't something that I was expecting when the team news came in yesterday morning.
No, me either. It's odd. It felt to me like Darikwa at right back, Towler at left back, two centre backs, and then kind of Reach and Hackett, almost like a 4-4-2, maybe with House dropping back. Doubtless, if Chris was with us, he would tell us that we were wrong and it was 3-5-2 and all that sort of thing. So, but it was interesting. They did have a few issues as well. Perry NG, or Perry as I think you meant to say, missed out, which I think is probably a little bit of a blow for them. Dylan Lawler didn't play. Obviously Salek is injured as well, so they just didn't have the big focal man up front, but they still had some real talent. I mean, I didn't realise the boy Kellyman that was playing on the attacking right, 15 million Chelsea paid for him and have now loaned him to Cardiff. 15 million quid. And then they were saying, well, he didn't really have the explosive pace out there. Jesus Christ, for 15 million quid, I'd want a little bit of pace, I think.
I know. I agree with that. I think seeing that there was no NG in the squad, blow for them, but definitely I felt like that was a massive opportunity for us, because obviously when they played at Sinsel Bank, I thought that he was brilliant. So to see him out of the team, a little sigh of relief from me. And yeah, with Kellyman, I mean, yeah, I know you've mentioned his price tag there. And actually, I have to admit that during the game, I thought that he was someone else. So I watched the game back today, which was a joy. But obviously you kind of get the close-ups and you see the names on the back of the shirts, and I was like, oh, so that wasn't the person that I thought was playing quite well. It was actually, he was somebody else that I thought didn't really have a lot in the game, really. I thought we kept him very, very quiet, which I would expect more from somebody who comes at that kind of a price.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be hard to talk about the first 45 minutes because there wasn't a huge amount that happened. I'm going to say, dare I say, for the first half hour, it was fairly tepid. Not from a performance point of view for either side, but from a neutral's point of view. Like, this is first versus second. They expected a blood and thunder contest. But we had the game plan of keeping it tight, making sure we didn't let anything go, not particularly just hitting on the break, but they have possession. We were happy to let them have possession. And they reminded me a little bit at times, and this is not the first time this comparison has been made, but it may be the first time in this context, of MK Dons, in that MK Dons a few years ago were happy to have 70% possession, but if they couldn't get through you, there was no plan B. There was no way for them to kind of go, right, we'll go a little bit longer. I think Cardiff of 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, when Salek was fit, maybe did have that option, not that they took it. And chances were limited for us. I think it became really clear, and this, I'm about to say something, by the way, that's wrong, but it became very clear to me that the only way we were going to get through against Cardiff was long throws into the box. Corners, they had us nailed, because they were going, well, we'll stick 3 on the line, and then they've got to stick 3 on the line, and that clears the box for us to kind of attack a little bit better. They've sussed us, and I wonder if a few others might between now and the end of the season. But long throw-ins, Jesus Christ, they scared you like a tax inspector coming up the path. I mean, they were terrified by them, weren't they?
They were, yeah, and I agree with you. I think the first 30 minutes, I was happy. I was very happy with how that first 30 minutes had played out, and it kind of felt to me a little bit like we maybe had a decent spell. I'm not saying that it was kind of, everyone was having chances all over the place or anything like that, but we had a decent spell for 5 minutes. Then Cardiff had a decent spell for 5 minutes. Then we had another little go. So it was a little bit back and forth without there being loads and loads of kind of even half chances, really, for either side. But I was very happy with that. Yeah, and I think as well, those throw-ins from Hamer, who said pre-match the other week that he has to take painkillers before a game to kind of get through and manage taking all of those throws, which is just really incredible and the epitome of putting your body on the line, isn't it? But they were causing chaos and they were causing havoc in the box, every single one. And we had a flurry of them, really. And I think a couple led to a corner. I think one of them led to a bit of a goalmouth scramble, really. That's certainly what it looked like. And yeah, we looked threatening from those, or at least causing them some problems. But yeah, that first 30 minutes, yeah, it did. There wasn't a lot to really talk about, to be honest, other than I think I'd maybe say, without it being too clear cut, we maybe edged it slightly in terms of those chances, and they probably did come from the chaos caused from those long throws. But I was very, very happy with how the first 30 minutes had gone.
Yeah, we did have one shot. It was Ben House. I think it was a punt from Wickens. It was a quick one, and he's kind of got away just on the inside right channel. Probably should have pulled it back to Adam Reach, but you do want your strikers to be having opportunities at goal. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. So when he's lashed it over, I've kind of gone, do you know what? I kind of don't mind that too much. I mean, Ben House does make a living out of missing as many chances as he scores. And I don't mean that in a negative way. He gets himself into a lot of good positions. He's not a natural nine. He's deeper, he's harder working, he's a very different type of striker. But he's been getting in good positions. Another really good game from Ben. 30 minutes to probably 40 minutes. Cardiff turned it on. Now, they are a team of individuals. Whether the right blend of individuals worked yesterday or not, probably not. I think a lot of Cardiff fans would say that they didn't particularly play like a team. There wasn't a huge amount of cohesion, but there was also some lovely little passages of play. I think we've beaten them twice, so it's easy for me to say this. But I think they're footballing wise, they're the best side that we've seen. I think they're a better side than Bolton. When they are in full flow, they were just beautiful. There was once or twice where they were passing around us and it was triangles, and nobody makes Conor McGrandles look like he's running around in circles in this division. And just in moments, in flashes, not long periods of play, but in flashes, they certainly did that. And it ended up with an opportunity for Tanner. I think it was Ollie Tanner, wasn't it? They can't get near the goal, so let's smash one from range. Beautiful effort, and probably the first serious thing the first serious action of the half was a George Wickens save.
Yeah, it was. That final 15 minutes of that half, it was all Cardiff. And we saw in the game at Sincil Bank the goal that they scored, that Ng scored. That was the movement for that goal was kind of quicker than you could compute what was happening. It was one of them, and they, like you say, there was moments where they were moving the ball well. A lot of it was side to side as well, but we didn't see anything like that moment where they were able to cut through us yesterday. And I think a lot of that does come down to how we were set up and kind of how organised we were and just resolute in our defending. But they did get an opportunity, which was that long range effort that forced an excellent save from George Wickens, a really good fingertip full stretch save, which that goes in. It changes the game. It changes the outcome, I think. I mean, it sounds obvious to say, doesn't it? But that was a real turning point in the match almost. I think if that goes in, it's completely different. And, George Wickens has had very little to do for weeks on end now. So not that doubt creeps in, but you just don't, you haven't had the opportunity to see him at his best, so to speak, because he hasn't had to do anything. And every week I seem to make a joke in our group chat where I say I might give George Wickens man of the match because he didn't put a foot wrong when he's not had to do anything, because I think that's kind of funny. But he was called into action and he absolutely pulled off a blinding save that kept us at 0-0 going into half time. And also I think as well, Nathan Trott, who is plays in goal for them, who's on loan from Copenhagen. He didn't play in the reverse fixture at Central Bank. And he is really kind of, he's kind of held in really high regard as a top keeper. But based on yesterday's performance, I know who I would much rather have between the sticks in goal. Definitely.
I'm not going to be that as bold as to say that because I do really like Nathan Trott as well. But you must have been listening to the conversation that we had when we were avoiding fights on the way home, because I said to Matt, I didn't want to. He was a goalkeeper as well, in that I don't feel confident at George Wickens at the moment because we haven't seen him had to make a save. So it's nothing he's done, but it's just like when week after week after week, your keeper doesn't, and he does have to do. Of course he does. He has to marsh his defence. He has to come to take crosses. He has to win punches. Of course he does. But when you haven't seen him make a save, where you go, oh yes, that's a save and a half, kind of Alan Partridge style almost. And so when he throws himself across and he gets to that, it's like, we do have a good goalkeeper. You know what? It's that whole thing. Why are we worrying? Why am I predicting 1-1 every week? Just in case we actually lose when I say we're going to win. Why am I worrying? Why am I worrying about Cardiff? Because we're going to go and we're going to do what we need to do. We're going to be good and we're going to be strong. And we've got 10 outfield players who are good. Why would I imagine that the one in goal, just because we haven't seen it, isn't? And then he throws himself across goal. There's some criticism of the shot from Winterley saved, but actually it's a venomous shot. He's gone down, he's parried it, he's pushed it away from his goal. That was just after the Tanner. I think it was Winterley. It might have been Colwell, actually. I can't remember which one. But anyway, he's kind of pushed that away, and it's just like, why are we worried? Why are we worried? Just relax.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I think in that, as something to mention as well, in that period of pressure that they were putting on us in this final 15 minutes, they did win a free kick on the edge of our box. And I just wanted to say that Sonny Bradley is hard as nails, because he took that ball straight in the face, sort of almost did a comedy kind of stumble backwards, hit the deck, and he would have been seeing bluebirds going round and round and round like they do in Tom and Jerry. But then he was just straight back up again. If that had hit me like that, I'd be dead. So he is hard as nails, and I just wanted to shout that out.
I mean, I kind of picked that up from the neck tattoo, but I mean, if you want to take a ball in the face to double prove it, that's fine. It was funny actually, because that happened, and he went down, and obviously the media suite or the media bits are always in the home end, so there's a couple of them giving it all this, and he's faking it and all of that. I actually thought that was one of the only things the referee did wrong, because he then gave the ball back to our keeper, and technically they had the pressure on us. And I did feel a little bit for them in that instance. People are going, oh, he's gone down. And I'm thinking, has he gone down weakly? And I looked at the monitor. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm surprised his nose wasn't spread everywhere. I mean, he's taken it full on. Now, I talked about calming down.
And it was quite... Sorry, I was just going to say real quickly, I was very happy that from red and white tinted glasses, very happy that the referee gave a drop ball straight to George Wickens. But I just thought it was an interesting... I will assume it was done on purpose, but obviously it's dropped to Wickens. He's dragged it right round to the very, very edge of the penalty area, and then picked it up at the last moment that he possibly could. Took as long as he could of the 8 seconds before he kicked it out of his hand. And then as soon as it goes up the pitch, Ben Howes then commits a foul. And Sonny Bradley, off the pitch for 30 seconds, didn't actually really miss any play. So I just thought, if that was done on purpose, it's a little bit dark artsy, isn't it? But it's smart. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? So just thought, worth mentioning that kind of game management at that point as well.
Yeah, it's a good spot. I hadn't spotted that, to be fair. At Ben House, actually, there was the dive, which, let's not talk too much about it, but I'm not a fan of that, and we've watched it from a Cardiff angle. I'm sure everybody's seen that as well. It's really bad. But I'm wondering if that's as much that kind of dark art, that let's break up play, like if I go down and I argue, and then he went face to face with Wintull, and it was all a little bit, but that killed their momentum. Like, I thought they were doing really well up until that point, and that little flurry of everything kind of killed their forward momentum a little bit, which probably we needed to take us in 0-0 at half time. I will allow, that sounds really kind of gatekeepery. I will give you the opportunity to comment on the Ben House dive before we move on.
it was a dive. I don't think it just was it was obvious. It was an obvious dive, and yeah, for whatever reason, yeah, not nice. I think that we've seen lots of teams come and play against us and frustrate the hell out of us for these kind of breaking up play, dark arts kind of things. So I do think it's good for us to have that in our locker, because teams do it and it's annoying as hell and it has got teams results, and that's what matters. But I don't like to see a dive, really.
No, me either. So second half, two teams come out. I wondered if there might actually have been a change at half time, because you've got Ivan on a booking, you've got Ben House on a booking. But we came out the second half. They had a spell, didn't really create anything, but they had a lot of the ball. And we had to work. Sometimes I think you have to work even harder without the ball, because if you've got the ball, you're the focus. You just, where do you put the ball? Where are people going to go? If they've got the ball, you're not only having to get to the places, but you're having to try and second guess where they're going to be as well. So it's tough and it's draining. And we worked really hard. And then we got our goal. And it was really strange, because watching it, it was like we were trying to break, and 10 had kind of come down the flank. And he played it back to Hamer, and it was almost like, oh no, we've wasted a little opportunity. And then the goal itself, the more I look at it, like the more I just love it, because yeah, it's a big clipping from Hamer, but it's a lovely touch from Street. And in real time, it's like, has it come off the defender? But it's a beautiful touch from Street. And Ben House doesn't look up. He just doesn't look. He just runs down away from the goal. Rob Street knows where to run. Ben House knows where to play the ball. I mean, it is the classic, and I know Ben House doesn't like it, but it's the classic Ben House in the box to Rob Street, Ben House. I mean, it was the goal we've been waiting for, to sing a song that we're not allowed to sing, and a wonderful finish from Rob Street again. Allay, allay.
Allay, yeah, and I've been singing that for over 24 hours. Let me tell you, just to myself. Bearing in mind, I live alone, so I've just been walking around my house on my own, just singing Rob Street again. Allay. But yeah, I mean, that goal, just pandemonium ensued after that had gone in, and real big credit to Tendai Darikwa for winning the ball back. He could have cleared his lines. It could have gone long at that point. He didn't. He held on to it and played it back to Hamer. And I think as well, worth mentioning, we've talked on this podcast before about Freddie Draper obviously being out injured at the moment, and how that physicality that he brings is something that we'll miss. Not that we're necessarily kind of feeling the effects of that, but it's an attribute that he has that we feel we no longer maybe have with him out of that team. He's probably the best at it in terms of our forward line. But Rob Street was channeling Freddie Draper in that moment, because he out-physicaled Osho and knocked him over to win the ball initially before playing it through to Ben House. And yeah, it was just a really good finish. I wonder if the keeper could have done better, getting beat at his near post like that. But yeah, the moment that goal went in, it just the feeling, and a lot of my analysis is going to be vibe based this evening. I will caveat that for everybody. The feeling when that went in was just like one of the, I was going to say like nothing I've ever felt before, but that's not true, because we've all had those moments as Lincoln City fans. They can be quite few and far between, but we've all had them. It's one of those rare moments where it just goes mental. And from that point on, until we scored our second goal, I don't really know what happened on the pitch, because I was watching it, but I wasn't taking it in, what was going on. I was just engulfed in the celebrations, the singing, the atmosphere, the disbelief that we were doing it. Yeah, so whatever happened next up until the second goal, so it's over to you. I don't know.
Well, we'll come to the delay that happened straight after the goal at the end of the match analysis, because I don't want to taint the match analysis with what are actually 3 points that we're going to look back on. That if we had lost this game, these 3 points would be major talking points, I think. So we'll come back onto that. Word on Rob Street, really interesting actually, that in the chat somebody had put something along the lines, and I've lost it now. Rob Street was excellent. There we go. Won a lot in the air yesterday, some great flick-ons. He actually only won 3 of his 10 aerial duels according to FootMob. So it's funny kind of how the perception, but I thought he was excellent, and I just thought he's hard work. I give him man of the match. I haven't seen the man of the match video. I don't know if it's actually gone out or not. But I thought that he was absolutely outstanding. And as for the being beaten at his near post, he's actually put it through Trott's legs. So Trott, he's kind of making himself big and covering his post, and the finish is just so calm, and like he feels like a player who is now playing with confidence, who's kind of got that win behind him, and his celebration. And you're big on your celebrations. You kind of watch them, don't you, and go, who's joining in and what's happening and all that. I saw it, and if you're listening at home, this isn't great, but it was just the way he just stood there and went, like, just looking at the crowd, just like have that kind of thing. It's the sort of, I like that. I don't like a big celebration. I don't like the fist pumps. I don't like all that. The best celebration I've ever seen was Eric Cantona when he chipped the goalkeeper from however far off it was. I think it was against Sunderland, and he just stood, pumped his chest out, and just turned around and looked at all of the stadium. And I just think, that's what I like to see. I want Rob Street to be arrogant, because when he's arrogant, he's confident, and he's clearly, when he's confident, he scores goals. And it's exactly what we said about Freddie Draper a month ago, that he's got 1 or 2, he's now confident. It's what we said about Jack Moylan. It's what you could say about Dom Jeffries, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It's like this confidence running through the team, like water running down my road outside. It just doesn't stop.
It doesn't, does it? And that's 4 in 4 now for Street. Just fantastic. And he's got his opportunity to play in the number 9 position properly, if you like. And he's taken the opportunity with both arms and feet, and it's just it's great. He was a contender for man of the match for me. I didn't give it to him. We'll find out who I gave it to maybe as we move through. But he's just great. Just love him.
So a game went on. Something happened in the middle. You were all giddy. I was spending a lot of time recording the Lincoln fans, if I'm honest, as well, because that site, it's really strange, because I would have given anything to have been in there, but I also feel really privileged to have been able to just look at it, because it was like the whole corner, and at one point everybody was jumping. And I've often looked at like really big away ends and always thought, I'd love to see our fans like that. And I've seen nothing like that at our ground. So, and when a team comes to us, I've not seen anything like that from a visiting team. Wrexham, when they went up on the last day of the season, I didn't see anything like that at all. No. It was just absolutely phenomenal.
It was. And can I get a little bit sentimental for a moment? Will you indulge me a little bit of sentimentality? So I found it a little bit emotional, actually. There was just something that just kind of washed over me, and I was thinking about it, and I think you've got it spot on. When you go to football matches, that we've got the 617. They're bouncing, they're singing, they're drumming for nearly 90 minutes every single week. And then you've got the clappers, people who clap along, people who chant along, people who chant and clap. You've got the kind of people that fist pump, you've got the people that shout, and then you've got people who sort of sit quietly. And this is not a criticism of how different people watch football, but they take it in a much kind of quieter capacity. They're not on their feet, they're not shouting, they're not singing along, they're just taking it in a much quieter way. So when you look around the ground, there's pockets of people doing different things. But when I looked around yesterday, every single row of people were bouncing. They were clapping. There was fists in the air. There was scarves waving. There was jumping up and down. It was like we were one homogenous mass. We were just a mass of Lincoln City, just as one big noise and motion, all just bouncing together. It was like it's those one in 100 times where everybody is on their feet. the quiet people, they're up doing it as well. We were as one. And I was looking around, and I've got my dad next to me and Nick, who comes with us, sits next to us at the football, one side. I can see Ben in the distance over there, and I can see Charlie a bit further down. I can see somebody that I went to school with in the row behind me. My mate that I sit next to week in, week out, who I don't really know his name, so I just call him my mate, but we've sat together for years. I could see him across the other direction. And I just looked round and I just thought, these are my people. This is my community. This is my people. And everybody looked so happy. And it just did something to me. It just did something to me where I thought, these are all my people who, you know, I don't love them all individually. Of course, I don't know half of them, but I love the football club. I love them as a whole. I love them as this mass. And they were all just so happy and just looking at each other and hugging each other and singing, and it just felt so different felt different to all those other big games that you can mention, like the MK Dons. I always reference Gateshead. For me, that was a massive one. Burnley, there was just something about it that was just really, really happy versus, you know, slightly different nuanced emotions that maybe there's other games.
Yeah, I get it.
It blew me away. It absolutely blew me away. And I wanted to be in that away end for the rest of my life.
It's that tribal en masse kind of, not hysteria, but it is. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of agree with you as well. I've got people saying it's your tribe, you're vibing great, it's family. Couldn't have said it any better. There was one point I just stood there and took it all in. The noise was brilliant. Look, it's a good time to pick it up. We haven't got to the second goal. I want to be careful about not getting carried away, because that was the type of day it was. And I did get that. I got giddy like at the end, like, how have we got a goal? Because we're going toe to toe here, by the way, with a team who I worked out have had 52 seasons in either the top flight or the second tier in the same time that we have been out of it, you know, or same time since we won promotion to it, which I think was 52. Just 9 for 2, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. It's still coming in as well, though. I mean, it's euphoric from Steve. It was great. I say, a little bit of jealousy being out of it looking in, but also incredibly proud being out of it looking in, because to witness it, knowing that was my group, you know what I mean, like you, there are people. It was the same walking around Cardiff, you know, these are our people. We've all traveled. It felt a little bit cup finally, and sometimes actually that might play in to the little Lincoln City. Like, are we playing down what we are? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're enjoying this, and we've gone to this big club, but we're equals. Technically, we're above the. It's strange. It's strange. I think you and I and many others have been there when there's 2000 and we've lost to Welling or whatever, and that's never a coat to hide behind. It's not an invisibility cloak for when we fail. And the Mark Kennedy, you know, I was one of the first who would say, remember where we were 10 years ago, and people go, we're not there now. And we're not there now. We're a different beast altogether. But it just doesn't hurt. It just doesn't hurt to think back. You know, it was 10 years ago around this time that we went to Wrexham as a non-league side, and we got beat, and the fans were swearing at Chris Moyes, and that convinced me to write, and that started the whole of the Stacey West. And we lost, you know, we were playing the likes of Braintree and that every week. Anyway, there was a second goal, Emily, and I'm actually going to turn it to, because I put it in my write-up, and it genuinely was just everything yesterday kind of caught up. So I actually got a little bit of time. I was meant to be meeting somebody early doors. This is relevant, listeners. I was meant to be meeting somebody on the Friday to go, and I got a phone call as I was going into Rugby, and they were like, we're going to be 2 hours late. Okay, so I'll take the opportunity to pop down to the graveyard, pop some flowers on Dad's grave, you know. And I went down there and I put some flowers on there, and I put one on my granddad's as well. And I said to them both, you know, I need a little bit of something from you today. Like, I haven't asked anything from you since September 28th, Dad, because you've not really been able to deliver it. But I'm going to ask on this occasion, can you help? And I genuinely did. And, you know, it was 1-0. And the fan, you were caught up in your whole thing. And it was, we are top of the league. You'll probably remember that being sung. And that was what Dad used to sing. And I've said it a million times, but I don't care. Like Wickham 2-2, we come out the ground. We are top of the league. Dad, we're not top of the league. We've drawn 2-2 with Wickham. Honestly, just relax. And And I heard that and I kind of went, I just looked up and I was like, well, we are top of the league though, but if you're singing it up there, can you press any buttons? And as I literally, it was just as I said that, I think it was Tanner plays the ball across, McGrandles intercepts, Jeffrey's on his bike, and within minutes it's 2-0. And it's just, yeah, just for me, like it was at that moment I thought, we are fated. And that's ridiculous because all we're talking about on this podcast is vibes and fate and feelings and belief. The fact is, it's a hard-working team goal. We force errors by high press, and we've got players who are confident and finishing chances.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you talk. A lot of people talk about teams having really patient build-up to goals. You know, it's really patient play in the build-up to a goal. But we almost did that, but in the reverse. We were so patient in letting Cardiff have the ball, waiting for a moment they'd be sloppy or a moment that they'd give it away. And that's exactly what they did. But what is life without beliefs and vibes? Honestly, what is it if we don't have beliefs? You know, we're getting very philosophical this evening.
Yes.
But it was just fantastic. A good run by Conor McGrandles and a perfect ball to Dom Jeffries. You know, when you're in the crowd and you're screaming, "Play it now!" And it was literally on that pinpoint moment. And it was just so, again, another really calm finish. Just ran into the box, cuts inside, and slots it home. Another goal from the bench. Another for Dom Jeffries, who is really our super sub at the moment, and he's Welsh. So how good's that? I gave him my man of the match yesterday, which may be controversial given that he only came on as a sub. But I joked about giving it to him last weekend as well. And he had an excellent cameo against Mansfield. So I kind of thought cumulatively, he deserves it. And I thought he was excellent when he came on. And again, cue Pandemonium Part 2. Just looking around at everybody and just thinking we haven't nicked a 1-0 here, we've got a 2-0 victory. And I didn't think Cardiff were going to come back at that point. I know it was late on, but I just thought we were playing so well. That was it. We were top of the league and no one was going to take that away from us yesterday.
Well, we nicked a 2-0. I'm going to give respect to Cardiff. I thought they were a great side. I thought that they played some really good football. They missing one or two players, but we got our tactics spot on. Michael Skubala got the game plan spot on. It was executed perfectly. We're going to run over, by the way, by a long way, but I want to talk about a couple of other things still before we even move on to the darker side of stuff. Dom Jeffries, on that last season, I remember commenting about players who missed the start of the season never really hit a peak, or they struggled to hit their peak. Ethan Hamilton never really got into it after missing the start last season. Rico Hackett was kind of in and out. Dom Jeffries has come in, he's eased his way in, and he's been, I think it's 4 goal involvements in 3 games, 2 goals and 2 assists, which is what Mansfield, Blackpool, and this one. And he's just, and bear in mind, he's not even the kind of left-sided attacker or wherever it is he's been coming on. He's technically a central midfielder. That's what he played when he came for us. So it was nice for him. I love the little cup of the ear as he went over. Not a full-on kind of double thing, but a nice little cup of the ear and a nice kind of with his arms. And he was an academy player. Someone pointed out there, he was an academy player at Cardiff. He went there till the age of 13 and then left Cardiff as a young teenager, so I'm sure that was really nice for him. And somebody else has been mentioned, Alfie Lloyd, and I wanted to mention him because when he came on, like, what you 1-0, 2-0, whatever, right? You just need the energy. And there's been once or twice, not this season particularly, where you've had Ben House, you've had all that hard pressing, but then the guy that comes on just isn't quite up to that. Or you've had Freddie Draper and he's being held up, but the guy that comes on just can't quite do that. And for me, like, all we needed was the ball away from our goal as much as possible. And we just chucked Alfie Lloyd on and go run, and he just did not stop. He should have had a penalty. I've watched it back. It is a penalty, but it would be a brave one for the referee to give, and I thought the referee did well. So I'm not going to be too critical. At 0-0, if he doesn't give it, maybe I am. But maybe I'm also critical that he doesn't perhaps deal with Ben House a little bit harsher. But anyway, that's football for you, isn't it? But yeah, just like Michael Squell always says, it's a squad game. We're going to need everybody. And, sometimes you think, he's just saying that so the guy on the bench thinks he's going to be involved when he's not. Do you know what I mean? We say that to everyone. But don't worry, little Timmy, you'll get picked. And he sits there and gets a minute on the last game of the season. Everyone applauds him like he's a winner. And you kind of feel sometimes that might be, is Michael Skabala saying that? Well, he's not, is he? Because he brings, we do need everybody. And Riley Towler as well, to be fair. I know you're a big Tylee Rowler fan. Yes, sir.
Massive.
Absolutely superb yesterday. Didn't put a foot wrong against a £15 million winger when he's playing slightly out of position and hasn't been playing regularly. I genuinely think Michael Skabala and the coaching side could touch a glass of water and turn it into wine at the minute.
Yeah, I think so. I think, a word on Alfie Lloyd. I think he's come on, when he came on against Blackpool, I thought he looked decent without doing a great deal, but I thought he kind of looked sharp. And then yesterday, I think he just kind of compounded that by coming on and doing exactly what he needed to do, and probably a little bit more, actually. So it is the energy, it is the pressing, it is carrying the ball forward when we need to relieve a bit of pressure. He did all of that, but also kind of created a few little chances, created a few opportunities, was causing a bit of trouble as well. So I think he looks like a really promising player. And if we can bring him on from the bench just to add that energy in these, final stretch of the season, then brilliant. And, by all accounts, he's absolutely loving life at Lincoln City as well. And you can see it, like, when I love a celebration, but he is in amongst it with everybody else. And for somebody who's not getting a lot of game time, like, I would never question anybody's dedication or commitment or anything like that to a team that they are part of. But they don't need to be right in the middle of all the celebrations, singing all the songs, doing all the fist bumps, do they, if they're not featuring? But my God, he's there. When all the subs came over to do their warm down at the end of the game, first of all, felt a bit sorry for Alfie Lloyd because I felt he'd ran enough in those final few minutes that he was on the pitch to not have to do more running in the warm down. But Jack Moylan came over and everyone was singing the Jack Moylan song, and Alfie Lloyd was just stood with him singing it and like dancing along in Jack's face, like just absolutely loving it. And it's just that kind of energy, I think, that's just infectious and exactly what we need. So yeah, really, really pleased with that cameo from him yesterday.
People won't have seen it, but I was stood there as Jack Moylan came off. He did his warm down, and I think it was Mike Horton was interviewing Dom Jeffries, and Jack Moylan during the interview just ran up to Dom Jeffries, grabbed him, gave him a massive kiss on the forehead mid-interview, and then ran off again. And it just feels good. I mean, I'm lucky to be at the end on the touchline to see the players coming in and out and doing their warm downs and all of that. Okay, you've won 2-0. It's really easy to be like that, but it just feels like it's something special. And there's probably not a hot take, is it? We're a point clear at the top of League One with just under 2 months to go. It's not a hot take to say that we're doing really well, but you can feel why we're doing well. Emily, I think we need to go on a break because we are at 43 minutes and we haven't touched on several of the other things that we need to talk about. So we will go. Excellent. We will go on a break. As normal, we have to do it dead on the 10-second mark to satisfy my OCD, and we'll be back shortly. Right. I think we've still got a slight delay, but we're managing it, aren't we?
Yeah, it doesn't feel too bad for me. Sorry, everybody. It's I don't know.
It's better. I think it's better. I think it's just there's a tiny one. I would love to go through everyone's comments. 190 people are watching across the two platforms, across Facebook and YouTube. Wow. Oh my Lord! And I managed to get my rhubarb and custard
big love,
in and
my
finished.
People.
Oh, I like that. Big love. Is that no big love? I don't know how you do it. I'm not good at that. So I'm not going to go through everything. Yeah. I'm not going to go through everybody's chats. Just look, if you're on listening, watching, thank you so much. It's fantastic. I've got it wrong. We're apparently 2 points clear. Not a point clear,
we are.
Or 3 points.
Yeah, we are.
Said.
It's even better than you thought.
It is. And the whole Riley Towler, Towley, Toller Riley thing is an in-joke within the podcast from our inability to get the name right at the beginning of the season. Right, shall we look at coming back in?
Yes, let's.
Very shortly. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the 453rd episode of the Stacey West podcast. We crunched some numbers earlier this week, and off the top of my head, did we say that we'd had 42,000 impressions across YouTube, Facebook and Acast? Unbelievable what a little bit of success on the field can do for you. We won 2-0 yesterday and we all came away feeling really good, but actually there were a few things that we just wanted to pick up on that weren't so good. Now we'll pick up on the lesser of them. I think, first of all, I hope there was a medical emergency. I think before the game, I saw the helicopter come over and land outside the stadium. So I understand that there was a medical emergency with an individual. So we don't know any more about that. Obviously, we wish him well. I understand. I think it was it was a Cardiff City supporter. So obviously, our thoughts there. Hopefully, he or she indeed is on the mend. There was then some objects thrown at George Wickens, which, you know, you could see them coming down. You could see him picking them up. It really riled up a lot of the home support because they felt it was time wasting, but the referee went over. We don't know the ins and outs of that. So again, it's that kind of big game atmosphere, I suppose, isn't it? Some people get a little bit carried away. It was bottle tops and things, you know, back when they used to take the bottle top off you. Maybe they should start doing that again. It's frustrating because my pop used to go flat quite quick. But all joking aside, what happened, well, it's been reported after the first goal is not good. I don't know. We don't know the facts. So we have to kind of deal in what we, not what we think has happened, but what we do know has happened. So I have a note here. So it was an alleged racist gesture made by a Cardiff fan towards Tendai after the first goal. Tendai gave a statement to the referee after the match. I understand that the Cardiff were absolutely spot on in everything that they did. The referee dealt with it in the right way as well. Tendai was given the option to play on or not. He chose to play on. Just there isn't any justification for that sort of behavior from a single supporter in any walk of life, but to absolutely stress, this is certainly not something that should taint an entire fan base. There are idiots in every ground. They're a minority, but the one thing I would probably say is that each one of these actions now becomes something so big. Everybody talks about it. The players are talking out about it. So it hasn't stopped it. But I think every time something like this happens, it does stop one or two people who might do it from doing it. And it's a shame that that's the way it has to happen. And it's you know, appalling that it still happens to individuals. So yeah, it was a shame, wasn't it, to see that on such a big game and a big day.
Yeah, it was. And it's just a shame that attitudes like that still exist, you know, not just in football, but in society generally. And you're right, it's not everybody. It is a very small minority within the Cardiff fan base. I haven't really got a lot to say on it. It's disgusting. There's no place for it. And just don't be a racist.
It's a good way
Easy.
to put it.
Right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And you know what? It's like, I do think that improvements are being made, because I think it's not about it being eradicated immediately, because I think that you can't just say, right, we're going to stand up to racism and then it stops. It's a societal thing and it runs deeper than football. It isn't even football. It's a societal thing. It's not a football supporter. It is an individual who feels that that's a way that they can express themselves when they explicitly cannot. I don't think it would be to say football has a racism problem. I think society will always, to a degree, have a racism problem, but it's about making it even less acceptable, even less than norm, making anybody that does it a pariah. And some of the Cardiff fans that I've seen who have reacted to it in such a way, like, if we see this idiot, etc., we're a multicultural club, etc., and that's the sort of response. It needs to be kind of across the board. So yeah, I was impressed with the way it was handled. I was impressed with the dignity with which Tendai conducted himself. And again, it's another sad example, but with each and every one, I genuinely believe that there is a very slight change. It does bring me on to my final point, which is more Lincoln City based. 2 coachfuls of Lincoln City supporters with, I think, Black Cat travel were refused to travel home. Now, I'm not going to say too much because I don't know the ins and outs and the specifics, but my understanding is that on those 2 buses, across those 2 buses, there were a couple of individuals who had drunk beer or had open cans on the bus, something along those lines. The Welsh police have stepped in. The company of them refused to take those people home. Now, whatever the rules are, this is my opinion, the demonization of the football supporter has gone on too long. Even happening in Lincoln, if you've got a Lincoln City shirt on and you try and go in that new Irish bar up on the high street, people are getting turned away because they're football supporters. And I had this debate with Fee while we were away in Norfolk. I'm sick and tired of football supporters being demonized. Football is such a force for good. And 99.9% of football supporters are not racist and they're not hooligans. I've been to football games. I've been in cars and I've been on buses where I've drunk. That's breaking the law. If you're on a bus, you go into a football game, or you go to sports event, you drink, it's breaking the law. I've done it. And I'm not a criminal. And I don't think any single one of those people on those 2 buses were at all. And it's not like when you go on the bus, they're searching you or it's explicit. Do you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, like, this has been caught this one time, but a lot of the buses that go away, this happens to. The police have a fundamental responsibility to protect the public and to leave 200 or 100 people rather at the side of the fucking road in Cardiff when there are women and children. And it's not just women and children. If they left me there, they've got a right. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't. But if they've left me, a 47-year-old man there, they still have that right. And it just made me really angry. And it also made me really guilty because we were driving home in our car and they were all stood there and we couldn't get them in. You couldn't get 50 people or 100 people in my car. So, yeah, I just wanted to I'm sick of the demonization of football fans, Emily.
Yeah, no, me too. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, I haven't got anything more to add. You put it very eloquently. We're not all bad.
Boycott Kate O'Reilly's or whatever it is until they let you in a Lincoln shirt. Shouldn't be demonized. This isn't me saying I'm a football hooligan. This is a badge of honor. This is saying that you're part of something. Exactly what you were saying earlier. You're part of a community, a tribe of people. And there's more people that have worn these shirts and raised money for charity, or worn these shirts and done good deeds, or represented this club and done positivity in the community than there will ever be people who have worn this shirt and gone out and had a fight. In fact, half the people that are actual hooligans wouldn't wear the shirt and go out for the fight because they're not going there to just anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
What else have we got on our list? Because I've got a little bit annoyed with that.
I guess we ought to talk about the next game, hadn't we? Maybe, given that. I mean, the 3 points away at Cardiff is, we need to follow it up, don't we? Keep going.
We do. So we're at Exeter City. We'll do a really brief coverage of that. So Exeter, they're a little bit of an oddity because they're exactly where a lot of their stats say they should be. I think they're 15th in the table, which is 6 points from safety. They've got 2 tough games now, us and then Cardiff back to back. So there's 6 points that they could quite easily lose, but they potentially will not. A few things that I noticed, obviously they've changed their manager. So Gary Caldwell left. They were doing very well for who they are up until Caldwell left. Since then, they haven't had a clean sheet. They had an interim manager who's now been replaced by Matt Taylor. They obviously, as I said, have not kept a clean sheet in that. I think they're winless under those 2 managers. I think they've only won twice since they were smashed 10-1 by Manchester City. The only slight outlier is that their XG would leave them 5th from bottom in the table, but that's not their expected position. That's just purely their XG. They play 3 at the back and 4 at the back, although having gone through a few of their forums, it seems that 3 at the back's been something they've been playing regularly, but at the minute, injury-wise, they just don't have the players to do it. So they went to 4 at the back this weekend against Barnsley, got beat 2-1, but Barnsley were a decent side. Games in hand could see them jump up into the playoffs. So no shame particularly in that, but Exeter have certainly not been on a good run. I think the one issue that they really do have is scoring. They haven't failed to score in a few games now, but they've only had 2 different scorers in the last 8 games, Jayden Wareham and Josh McGuinness. And in Jayden Wareham, they've got a player who has been offside the most in the division, contributing to them being offside, having the most offsides in the whole division. So they've been caught offside 94 times this season. Jayden Wareham has been caught offside 37 times this season. And the next highest player is Tyrese Shade, who has been caught offside on 21 occasions. So Wareham's kind of he's their big threat, so to speak. But I mean, that's 37 times offside. For a team like Lincoln City, I'm going to suggest that we probably know that if we can keep Jayden Wareham quiet, then potentially we should be able to keep Exeter City quiet as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And if our defence can cope with the £15 million, however much Kellyman cost, then I'd be confident that we can certainly keep. And actually, that's thinking about that. It's a bit of a theme, really. I seem to remember either saying on the podcast or saying to my dad, or that when teams have got these big players, like I remember Salech when we played Cardiff at Central Bank, I didn't think he had a kick. So all these kind of talisman players that belong to these teams, I think we are really good at sort of snuffing them out and just keeping them quiet. And they get a big build up, and actually they don't tend to do a lot in the game. So I'm confident that we could do that. But yeah, their XG, as you said, is 18th, I think, in the league. They're also 22nd in the league for creating big chances. I'm not entirely sure what a big chance technically is, but I think we all get the gist. And they're 20th for touches in the opposition box. So they don't seem great going forward, really, or kind of creating chances and scoring goals, as you've said. But it's good to provide balance. So yeah, they are top of the offside league, so that's good. And they're also really good at long balls as well, apparently. Second top for accurate long balls, which I thought was interesting. So we'll see how that pans out. But I think what's interesting as well is that they've played Saturday, Tuesday by the time it comes to our game this week. So a little bit more fatigue, perhaps, having to play that kind of that relentless schedule of Saturdays and Tuesdays. And I also don't know whether it'll play a part that obviously Lincoln City team is staying in and around the area, so to kind of minimise travel, whereas Exeter have had to travel to Barnsley for yesterday's game, but they've got to come home. They've got to come back, haven't they? So that's a lot of travel for them. So they could have a little bit of fatigue in them as well. As Skabala said in his post-match interview, we owe them one. We owe them one after them sneaking that win against us at home. So I think that if we keep their strikers quiet, and I think if we score first, I think it'll be a bit like when they played Bolton, and Bolton hammered them 5-1, did they? I think if we score first, they'll have to open up a little bit, and I think we might get a handful.
So some other numbers. We are 4th in the Aerial Duels Won table. Exeter City are 3rd from bottom, which I think is interesting. But there are a couple of other very interesting ones. Obviously, set pieces, we're top, 20 set pieces. Exeter are 4th from bottom, set pieces. If they're hoping to sit back and hit us on the counter-attack, they've got another thing coming, because we have actually scored, believe it or not, the most counter-attack goals in the division, which is 9, level with Huddersfield. There's only one team who have not scored a single counter-attack goal this season, and that is Exeter City. So yeah, it's it's going to be interesting. They've conceded 15 set-piece goals as well, which is 5th highest in the division. So all of the signs point to a Lincoln City victory. So I'm going 1-1.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a challenging game, but they all are. But I know one thing: if we go there and we win that, 13 points clear of Bolton with no games in hand is better than 10 points clear with a game in hand. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting evening without a doubt. I remember us playing Exeter, and I'm going to have to double check this now. I remember us playing Exeter the very first time Lincoln City were promoted in the Football League while I've been a fan. And I think we played them on a Tuesday night, and I think we played them at Lincoln on a Tuesday night in the 1997-98 season. I'm just checking now, so I am padding a little, but I'm sure that we played.
I think that was maybe one season before my time. I think maybe that one.
We did. We played 21st of April, 1998. We needed as many wins. We needed to get some wins to get promotion. We'd just beaten Peterborough 3-0 at home, and we beat them 2-1 at our place. A Steve Holmes double. And I remember it because I just had my tattoo against Lincoln, against Peterborough, and I'd still got my tattoo. We then went and drew 2-2 with Darlington, and then went up. So there we go. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be really. The team have stayed down there, so they're staying in Bristol. And they'll be travelling down to Exeter for the game. So one would imagine they're training in Bristol as well. One of the members of that team that is training in Bristol, is Mr. Tom Hamer. And we will now pick up on him signing a new deal until, I think it's 2029. So a real show of faith in Tom Hamer. Look, the first thing you think of when you hear Tom Hamer is the long throw and how it unsettles teams and all of that. But that we wouldn't be giving him a contract just because of a long throw. We didn't give Jude Sterling a full-time contract because of his long throw. Blast from the past, maybe before your time, Emily, I would say. Maybe.
No, I can remember that one. I can remember Jude Sterling. Yes,
Jude. Oh, sorry, just one point, by the way. Did you just before the game, Cardiff obviously sing to Hey Jude, don't they? And they were going, na, 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 City. And then our team started it, and both sets of fans were briefly singing City. And I'm just like, this is surreal. But anyway, yeah, it was lovely. He's just like Tom Hamer's lovely, I think. But a great player for us. Probably came in little understated, has made the right-sided centre-back his own, and somebody that has been an integral part of everything we've done this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, full disclosure, when we signed Tom Hamer, for me, I was sort of thinking, like I knew of him from playing at Burton, and sort of thought, oh, he is a steady defender at this level. I didn't really expect much more. I thought he'll be steady. He'll be able to do a job. That's kind of what I thought coming into it, because I thought he was steady at Burton. They don't tear up any trees. He plays well for them, all that kind of thing. But my God, he has been a revelation. He's been absolutely solid and exceptional, really, week in, week out. He's another one of those players that I don't think puts a foot wrong. I can't think of any, off the top of my head anyway, instances where I've thought, oh, Tom Hamer had a bit of a dodgy game or a bit of a dodgy moment. Nothing really comes to mind. He doesn't get booked often, does he? Either, really, for and we think about previous centre halves that we may have had last season and the kind of bookings that they picked up. And actually, for both of our centre half pairing, really, neither of them pick up many bookings. But he's so solid at the back, and that long throw is, of course, just an added bonus to what he brings. So yeah, delighted to have him sign a new contract and stay with us for a few more seasons. I think we'd be lost without him, to be honest. I mean, I know we've got. There was a time where him and Jacko were kind of jostling for that position, maybe, and obviously with Jacko's injury, Hamer's come in more permanently, but he's not going anywhere. And of course, Deji is going to come through, but at the moment, Tom Hamer he's here to stay.
Yeah, an embarrassment of riches in the defensive area. And that is why we're good at what we do in defence, which has been hugely praised by Cardiff City fans. And Lincoln City fans are also praising the side, but not using the medium of words as we are, but using the medium of buying season tickets. So at last count, and this was hot off the press this evening from somebody who is very close to the club. It looks like we're into potentially low single figures for the availability of new memberships in this window. So a waiting list, a season ticket waiting list is imminently opening up. I mean, like, there are going to be people out there who want to buy a Lincoln City season ticket who can't. And just contrast that with kind of 10 years ago, where we were trying to sell as many as we could. Contrast it with 2 years ago, where we were trying to sell as many as we could. And, you know, I think every game it gets closer and closer to it being, well, we best get one, because we don't want to miss Wolves and Burnley and Stoke and QPR. There's my QPR again, and Millwall, and potentially Tottenham and Stoke and Sheffield United. Oh, Jesus. I mean, do you know the crazy thing? Like, if we do go up, and it's an if, and everyone's going Tottenham, and I'm thinking, well, it's going to be one of Tottenham, Forest, Leeds, or West Ham. Like, Tottenham, Forest, Leeds, or West Ham playing at Lincoln.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, any of those. Yeah, it's fantastic support, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic support. And I think this goes back to what you said earlier about the little old Lincoln kind of scenario, the thought of that. And I think whilst we are where we are now, on, you know, we're there. Statistically, we're there. We are equal with Cardiff. We're actually a little bit above them now. Season ticket numbers, we're there. But I think the difference is psychologically, the memories we have. We don't remember stats. Maybe Chris does, but we don't remember the stats. We don't remember the numbers. We remember those memories of how it felt to be one of 2,000 or 3,000 at St Bank watching us get beat in the National League. We remember those things. And it's that we remember going to Burnley as the giant killers, you know, all of that lives longer with us than any statistic ever can. So I think for us as fans in those moments, we're never going to forget where we came from. That's a Take That song. We're never going to forget where we came from, because those memories are going to mean more to us than the statistics that demonstrate where we are now.
Kind words from a Cardiff fan saying there is no ifs, Gary, you're going up, just hope we can join you. But I just, again, like we keep saying it every week, as Lincoln fans, maybe it's all fans, maybe we have like perceptional bias, but as Lincoln fans, there's been so many times where things have looked nailed on, like 2020-21 when we were 6 points clear with the game in hand in the top two. Although at this point, did you see my article earlier? We have 11 points more at this stage in the season than we had the year that we got to the playoff final last time. But, you know, I remember not being bottom in 2011 or second bottom until the last day, not being bottom in 87 until the very last game. You know, we were in the playoffs in January in 87. And it's the fear of success, you know, and to all rational observers, Lincoln City are going to be a championship team next season. And I was watching a thing with the Reading CEO on it a little early today, Joe Jacobson. He actually scored a hat-trick against Lincoln in Danny Cowley's last game in charge. Absolutely mint left back, he really was. And I was watching that, and he's kind of saying, well, there's 3 teams that have stood out. Bolton have been good, but Cardiff and Lincoln have just been there. They've just been relentless. They've just been this. They've just been that. And it's like, you know, we're listening to Reading saying that, and at the beginning of the season, Paudie O'Connor, and this isn't a slur on him, decided that Reading, and okay, they paid more as well, to be fair, and he's, you know, it's a limited career, but, you know, to him, Reading was a better option for promotion than Lincoln. Ethan Arahan probably didn't have a choice, but for him, the better option was Bolton. You know, Sean Rowan, big respect. I love Sean Rowan to pieces, but he decided Huddersfield, and all of those players are now just there looking up, thinking, "Shit, I could have been on that." Do you know what I mean? I could have been on that.
Yeah,
I'm not being smug.
I wonder if I really do. No, I agree. I think it's, you know, I think we've all had those thoughts, haven't we? And I think, you know, it's constantly putting it into perspective, isn't it? It wasn't that long ago that Cardiff are running away with it. They're going to go up as champions. They're running away with it. Don't even look at them. And now we've just overtaken them to go top of the league. And then looking downwards, I was listening to our League One show podcast, which if you haven't listened to that, it's very good. I would recommend. They were talking about Stockport being our kind of the biggest fear as to coming up behind us and catching us. Well, by the time that we play them next weekend, we could be 21 points clear of them. And that's all in a matter of couple of weeks that's happened. It's surreal. It's surreal. We remember the bad times, which keeps us grounded. But we've got to take ourselves seriously now. Everyone else is. So why can't we?
Well, everyone else is doing it, so why can't we? That was an album by the Cranberries. I think somebody said we need 20 points from our last 11 games to be sure, and that's assuming that Bolton were to win every game. So you would rational at probably 16 or 17 points might just do it, which we have taken from our last 6 games, 7 not 6 games, 3 6 9 12 13 14 15 16 1 2 3 6 games. I'm right. It's what we've taken since Plymouth. Technically 21 points. I think Ben's put 21 points there, but if we were to take 20 points, we would have 94, and Bolton have got 36 games. If they were to win all of their 10 games, they would also be on 94, but we have a plus 34 goal difference, so 20 points should do it. I don't think it's going to come down to goal difference. Hand on heart, I don't think we'll win the title, just because I'm looking at Cardiff's running and how Cardiff play. And I think Cardiff have it in them to beat Barnsley, Exeter, Wycombe, Blackpool, Port Vale. Do you know what I mean? I can't see Cardiff dropping loads more points, maybe a defeat, maybe a couple of draws, but that'll be about it. So anyway, shall we stop rambling on in front of what topped out at 195 people, just about how good we are? It's basically like we just sat in a pub like we were last weekend, sat around that table, just like talking about promotion, talking about when it could be. We're going to announce it to Patreons. It's been announced. We're going to put tickets on sale soon. We've got a live show on the April the 11th, and like we were planning that live show, and we're going, but we could be promoted that weekend. It's like can't say it, can't even hope it. Quick question: Will you cry if we go up?
Go on then. Yes, I think so. I cried a bit yesterday, so I think it's definitely on the cards if we do it. Will you cry?
I mean, I think there are 1,000,001 different reasons why. I kind of wanted to yesterday because it would have made a good story, and being the social media whore that people say that I am, it would have been the sort of thing where and I shed a tear, but I didn't. I don't cry an awful lot. Death, catching the old tallywhacker in my fly, that's about it. They're the only things that bring tears to my eyes most of the time. So right, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, hopefully you've enjoyed episode 453 of the Stacey West podcast. We've been a bit controversial. We've lashed out at football fans. We've done a little bit of analysis for you. We've given you some numbers, and most of all, we have got giddy as fuck. Up the Imps.
Up the Imps.